as like a real opportunity to take care of his family and make money and everything. And still, after watching that clip, I don't feel like I have an answer on the question of why things went sour or why things are like that. Because if you actually watch, some fan took it upon himself to basically like put Trell's explanations for leaving side by side, like when it first happened and then the other day. And they're so fundamentally different because at first he wasn't really playing into this victim narrative as hard. Whereas now he's like really leaning into it, even though he's not telling you what happened between us because nothing happened that would cause him to leave. The reality is he left because he has this sense of loyalty to the people who brought him to the platform, which I respect that. That's cool. But you don't have to lie and act like there was some shit that happened between us or you were so disrespected. And also, this is another thing is like, why have I sat back for all of this time and just allowed everybody to lie about how much they were getting paid? That's one thing I've been thinking about. Is like, why did
That's
I
what I
just
want to
allow
hear.
everybody
How
to
much
sort
did they
of
get
run
paid
with these
then?
crazy narratives?
He didn't get paid 300.
I have never had anyone in terms of on-air talent getting paid six figures a year. And I see this constantly, like as if this is like a real thing.
Why are you bragging about
I'm not
this
putting
shit?
out names or anything, and I'm not saying that I haven't paid people the equivalent of six figures a year, because there have been people on this platform that I've had sort of more like profit sharing arrangements with, and those people are going viral. Obviously, I'm talking about Sharp. Sharp's made somewhat outlandish amounts of money at times on this channel. But it's like there's people on one side of the fence who are exaggerating how much they're getting paid in order to look good, I guess, on camera. And I don't even have an issue with that, because this is hip hop or whatever. Fake it till you make it, or not fake it, but like, act like you're doing better than you really are. That's totally fine. Normally, I would think, I just kind of accepted that. But the reality is that there's been a lot of people sort of making it sound like they got paid a lot more than they did. And then you also have somebody like Trell who's making it sound like he got paid a lot less than he did. Let's do some numbers. He said that he was getting paid $300 per piece of content. Now, you remember at one time he was doing the Wednesday show, he was doing like the news a couple times, and he was doing a couple of interviews per week, right?
Hold on, I thought Trell said that he got paid $300 period, but I might be tripping, y'all.
So if you take that and you take 5 times 300, you have $1,500 a week, plus the fact that he was getting cut in on the brand deal, or the advertisements that were on at the end of the day, which for us, we've always kind of given a very significant percentage of the ad reads to the hosts who are, administrating it or whatever. I mean, I could maybe ask Josh if we really wanted to get down to it, but the reality is that it was, Trell was like very easily earning like, 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, et cetera, per month as a result of doing content. Now, granted, he was doing a good amount of content. Doing like 5 pieces of content per week is pretty significant. But, that's without having to ask for a raise. That's without ever trying to have a conversation with us.
Bruh, 5,000 a month is a lot different than 300, y'all. I don't care what nobody says. 5,000 a month is a lot different than saying you got paid $300. Come on now.
So, I felt like that was actually pretty appropriate, given the fact that on a lot of the content that was being made in these situations, it's like we are not exactly raking in cash. And they know that, because when you do a podcast live stream on No Jumper, and for some reason everybody wants to paint this as if this is like mean for me to say, or this is unappreciative for me to say. But the reality is that all these guys who left, they all are completely familiar with how much you get paid from live streaming. And I've had that conversation with different people. There were some people on one of these guys' podcasts who had to leave, and those guys left because they were asking for money. And the reality is that you just don't make that much money
cuz
from
and crazy cuz
podcast type content on YouTube.
Slow cuz and crazy.
And that's okay,
left.
because for many years prior to right now, I was essentially taking a loss by supporting a whole bunch of different hosts on the channel because of the fact that I believed in it long term. And so, I don't know, like when I think about the fans at home, or I think about the average person in media, if you were to get offered, $70,000, $80,000 a year or something like that, maybe up to like $100,000 realistically, especially, and without even having to ask for a raise, if I were to offer that to somebody, I feel like every person watching this as well as like the 90% of people working in media would hear that number and be like, oh, I could get paid that much to be in the office like 2 days a week for like 5 or 6 hours per day. I don't really think that that's that offensive. But then when you come down to like, oh, $300 per appearance, that sounds bad. So that's what everybody's saying. Nobody's talking about the fact that this was like a person who was doing a lot of content on the channel at a certain point.
Yes.
And the thing about that is that it's like, this is kind of the overall thing that I was getting sick of towards the end of a lot of what was going on, is the fact that people were so comfortable putting these bullshit narratives out there, in particular ones that made me look bad. And meanwhile, I'm just sitting back and just looking at it and seeing everybody. The reality is everybody's like, why didn't you put Trell on a contract? And keep in mind, I was letting him do whatever he wanted outside of No Jumper. I wasn't trying to have any kind of control over the fact that he was streaming on his own or whatever. A non-exclusive deal where you're getting paid that significant of an amount of money, where you then get to go home and talk about whatever the fuck you talked about on No Jumper on your own shit, I'm not really buying the idea that this was not generous. Because I've already painted the picture about the fact that I was essentially taking a loss on a lot of the content. People choose to hear that and just read into it and be like, oh, that's offensive. That's mean. You didn't appreciate them. No, I'm being honest with you. And you know the fucking numbers because they're transparent. You guys are making the same amount. That what I'm talking about, that $70,000, $80,000, $100,000, whatever it might have ended up being based on how much shit he was doing, they left, or Trell specifically, he left that to go do their own podcast, split 4 ways. So, if I had to guess, I would say that, an average episode makes $400, $500, $600. Maybe you kill it that month or that week and you make $1,000. So, I'm not trying to say that like them doing their own independent thing is a bad idea or whatever, because if they wanted to do that, I support them. But you are talking about swapping out maybe making $100,000 a year for maybe making like $200 a week.
Don't be ridiculous now, because they're getting the ad read-ins and all the plugs from the advertisement just like you were. So they're not strictly making $500 off the YouTube money. They're making money off of reading ads, sponsors, la-di-la-di-la, same way you were. So, I mean, you're full of shit right here, but I was feeling you up until this point.
Because now you're actually earning the amount that content earns and splitting it up evenly. Whereas before, you had this fucking white guy benefactor who was just artificially amplifying the price for that kind of content because we enjoyed having it on the channel. And, we were trying to make it work. And, Trell is someone who, if he had came to me and said, hey, I want to get on a contract and I want to get paid X amount of dollars, I would have been 100% open to that conversation. Even right before he left the platform, I remember we were having a conversation on his channel where he was talking about Lush. And he kind of said something about how he felt like he should have been getting paid more. And go listen to how I responded to it. I was 100% open to it because I realized that he was a valuable part of the operation.
But
and I
you were
felt
desperate
like, if
at
he
that
wanted
point.
to have that conversation, if he wanted to get on a consistent contract, he would just ask me. And it's crazy because the other day, I don't even know that much about these guys, but I know that like MacWap is like one of their friends or whatever. And I just seen a clip of them talking about it. And they totally agreed with me. They were like, yeah, like if you wanted to get paid more, you should have asked him. And I'm like, why am I watching your friends who don't even know me, or I'm pretty sure they talk shit about me or whatever. I don't pay that much attention, but why am I watching them totally get it while I'm watching a 30-minute clip that you made with bullet holes in the thumbnail of you just like intentionally pretending like you made a good move, like as if it was a really brilliant genius business move to quit before you saw how much money you could potentially get paid. I don't know, I just feel kind of baffled by that whole thing.
Maybe he just felt like his that opportunity wasn't there for him, because he was there. He's been here for like over a year before he ended up like leaving, and he's done so much shit. Like you were saying, maybe in his mind he was just like, oh, I'm not being taken seriously.
Why wouldn't he ask? Huh? sorry, I'm just
You better shut your
Insert
bitch
with
ass
this
up
little
before you
break,
get
just said
fired.
that he said several times that he was doing it for the views. If you want to come at him, let's get the views up.
Yeah.
Can we agree that some of the content was fabricated because the views had to be at what they?
I mean, it has to be about the views at a certain point, right? Because you have a 30-minute video in which the stated intent in the title is that it's going to be some sort of like bombshell accusation thing against me, or like him explaining what he has against me or whatever, and then you actually watch it and there's really nothing. There's no substance to it. And so that makes me actually kind of wonder, like, do you have confidence that you can get a viral clip from talking about anything besides me? Because it kind of...
Ooh. We're gonna have to end on that note, y'all. Y'all get in the comments and let me know what y'all think. Is FiggmunityWorld, nothing without Adam? Can they talk about some regular shit and get by and get some good views? Man, y'all let me know what y'all think. $5,000, bro, that's a lot different than $300. $5,000 a month is crazy different than 300 because that's what Trell said he got paid was 300. So I mean, come on, y'all, stop with the bullshit. It's your boy G Reed TV. I'm out.